sweet emotional experience right there, him saying that. But has there been a moment where like, oh my God, this shit is hard. I am somebody's dad.
Oh yeah, it was definitely difficult for the first 3 years. It was
Okay.
challenging. It was expensive.
Okay.
I think probably the big emotion came. We went bowling once, and I think he was still like 3, and he
Mm-hmm.
randomly came up to me and said, "I love you." I was like, "Oh, you're having a lot of fun."
Aww.
So that was my first big emotional moment with him. But the daddy just, brought it to the forefront of my mind that, oh, I'm really someone's dad now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so
Do you and her co-parent well? Did she have like a similar experience? Do you feel like it was hard on her?
it was challenging on her. I think, it's always challenging just being a single parent,
Yeah.
but then being a single Nigerian mom
Mm.
makes it even harder.
Yeah.
So, I think now we've both gotten the hang of things.
Yeah.
We understand each other very
Uh
well.
huh.
So yeah, it's not as challenging anymore. Yeah, we don't really argue about much, but it
Okay.
makes things a lot easier.
That's good.
Yeah.
It's funny because when you said the whole marriage thing, I have a 2-year-old son and I got the same thing too. My mom was like, okay, well that means he must marry you, right?
Ozzy.
And it's kind of like, okay, you as an individual, you know where you stand individually concerning marriage, and you
Right.
know where you stand in a relationship concerning marriage. Like
Right.
we have a baby coming, but we not ready for marriage. Like that's
Right.
really not the
That's not
right
how we're
thing.
moving right
It's
now.
not the right thing to do. So I
Right.
definitely got the pressure, like, and then with mine, he's American, like he's black, so he's not
Mm.
Nigerian. So that also plays a difference. I think she's
Yeah,
Nigerian,
she's
right?
Nigerian.
So at least you guys have that commonality of like we're both Nigerian. You kind of understand that expectation,
Yeah. Right.
right? But for me to explain to an American, like,
Yeah, it's
sir,
hard.
you gotta propose.
Right.
And knowing I'm like, okay, maybe I may be ready to be a mom, but I'm not ready to be a wife.
Mm.
I think marriage is a whole different ball game.
Yeah.
But kudos to you. I feel like
Kudos to
not.
you for thinking it through.
Cause I'm like, you're not gonna pressure me now. To be honest with you, now if you had proposed where I had said no, I would not have said
You
no.
would say yeah.
But I think I'd have said yes, mainly to save face.
I like the honesty.
You know what I'm saying? Like I love him. You know what I'm saying? I loved. Let me put past tense. I
Mm.
loved. I loved him. You know what
So,
I'm saying?
boy, if you're listening, you don't love me no more.
He's not listening. But I loved him. I mean, I always love him because that's somebody I have a child with,
Yeah, you're
regardless.
tired forever.
But I would have mainly said yes to kind of save face of like the embarrassment of like the conversation, the whispering of like, oh
Oh,
my
that's why
God,
I hate
she got
Nigerians.
pregnant, she got
Talk too much.
pregnant. No,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
And I as well actually was 26. So I was way out of college.
Yeah.
I was adult doing my thing when I got pregnant.
Yeah.
But still, if I felt like I was 16 and pregnant, like what?
Just the
Where's the
pressure,
ring?
the external pressure.
Exactly, the
Yeah.
pressure. Now that he's older, do you still have any sense of pressure from anybody? Like, you still haven't proposed to this
Oh
girl.
no, no, they don't
No
try me like
pressure.
that anymore. They leave me alone. They know that if I haven't busted a move in 6 years, I'm not gonna bust a
Okay,
move until
okay,
I'm ready.
okay.
So no, I don't get that pressure. I get the pressure to marry just in general. They
Right,
want me to
right,
stop being
right,
outside.
right.
But yeah, I don't really get the pressure to marry.
But how did you combat that? Was it like you're like, y'all need to just stop talking
No,
to
no, I'm
me?
really strong-minded. I'm not
Okay,
gonna do something I don't want to do.
right.
I got pulled aside at parties with my aunts. They begged me, phone
Please marry this
calls,
girl.
just marry her. Whatever the problem is, you guys will figure it out. I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, as you're struggling in your own marriage,
Exactly.
I'm good. So it was just me being strong-minded, and I think the biggest thing was as long as my parents understood where I was coming from. My
Okay,
dad really, really supported me. He said, "Yo, don't do anything you don't want to do."
okay.
And that's my nigga for real. He really made it make sense. He
I
said,
love that.
it's a long-term thing. It's your life.
Yes.
You're 23. If there's not something you see yourself doing long-term, don't do it. They're not the people who are going to be in your house
Mm-hmm.
dealing with your unhappiness or dealing with the commotion or dealing with whatever's going on. So make the best decision for you. So I urge everyone who's listening, make the best decision for you. Shit happens, but
Yes.
it's how you react and how you bounce back.
Did she want to get married? Did y'all have that conversation? Was she like, yes, let's get married? Or she
Yeah,
was on the
no,
same page?
honestly, she understood where I was coming from. I told her fairly early on that, if it's not the right move, I'm not gonna make it. So
Okay.
it wasn't any indication on her. She's a great girl. She's a great woman. She's a
Mm-hmm.
great mom,
Mm-hmm.
great partner. It's more so me more than anything.
Okay.
So I had to get that point across.
And not to get too much in y'all personal business, but did you guys not work out, or I end up really being, because even if you guys didn't get married but remain in a relationship because of the pregnancy, or was it that you guys broke up before the pregnancy?
Oh no, we broke up before the pregnancy.
Ah, one of those.
We just happened to run into each other like 5 months later.
Wow, and boom,
Yeah, boom.
the fruits of the womb came.
Magic.
Okay, so since we're talking about so much family Nigerians and how all of that, like, how they how they pressured you, were they supportive? Besides your dad, was everyone else
Oh
supportive?
yeah. No, my mom is extremely supportive. My sisters are extremely supportive.
Oh.
Demi's sisters, Demi's friends.
Mhm.
Her brother, her mom. For the most part, we have a lot of support. If we need someone to watch him, it's fairly easy. But we're for the most part very self-sufficient. You won't see both of us out at night without him. One of us is always with him. He's getting older now, so he can kind of fend for himself. So
Okay.
now we'll feel comfortable dropping him off somewhere to go out or whatever.
I
But
like that.
for the most part, we had a lot of support. Even now, my sisters are taking him over the weekend and giving me and his mom a break. So she's gonna do her.
I'm
I'm gonna,
jealous.
yeah,
That's
so it's nice.
awesome.
Yeah,
That's
it's fun.
good.
Yeah, it's fun.
Does he, since that he's older now, does he ask any questions like, Mom? I think that's my fear. Like, my son is just 2, right? So he's not talking much. You know what I'm saying? So my fear is like when he asks, like, okay, Mom and Dad, why is it not Mommy and Daddy together? Type of thing. Has your son ever asked you that?
Nah. This is the only life he's known.
Got it. Okay.
So
Okay.
he thinks this is normal.
This is normal.
Yeah.
Okay.
If anything, he more questions why we don't have more. He
More.
wants more siblings. Yeah.
Okay, you gonna give him
He's
some
tired
more
of being
babies?
alone. I don't know. We'll see. If they weren't so expensive, I'd have like 10.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, so you like babies like that?
I like babies.
Okay.
I have baby fever. I need to get off Instagram.
Nah.
The algorithm got babies just popping up.
That would do it.
Yeah.
But are you fearful of the dad? Because as you said, this is what he knows now, and he's still, innocent minded. But once he start, maybe he gets to a certain age, and his friends is like, why do you go to mommy's house and why do you go to daddy's house? Why is it so separate? Because he may experience that where his friends who come from a 2-parent home ask him that. How do you feel like you would deal with that?
No, I think he's surrounded by so much love that
Okay.
I hope he's not lacking. So even if he were to come to me and say, why aren't you guys together? We just chose not to be together because it's the best thing for you. I think, for him, I think the focus is now trying to get him 4 parents that love him. That's opposed to just 2.
I like that.
So I, as long as he's not lacking, I'm not really tripping. If a friend comes at him, definitely the fuck off.
Okay.
No.
So speaking of footprints, so now I'm in the area of I want to start dating. Actually, I'm not dating because it's not happening yet. But I'm trying to date as a single mom. How is dating as a single dad? Is it hard? Like, do you start off with saying like, because some people say don't immediately tell them that you have a kid. Some people say wait. So what? Give me the tea. Give me some advice.
My son is part of me.
Okay.
But I make it very, very, very clear that I have a son. I'm not just looking for a partner. I'm looking for someone who can
be a bonus parent.
Knows what they're doing, knows that if something would have ever happened to me and his mom, we can trust you to take care of him.
Okay.
So yeah, I make it very, very clear. And if you're not, it doesn't mean that it always works. I've had some girls say, nope, I'm good. I don't want, So I understand, but I make it very clear. I make it let you, because I can't have my child. How am I gonna do it? I won't tell you on the first date. I'll tell you on date 10. That's too much.
So do you say on the first date?
First date. You probably know before we go on a date. Honestly, I'll tell you while we texting or while we talk.
Like I'm chilling with my son right now.
I'm chilling with my son. I'll let you know when I'm free or something like that. But
okay.
Yeah, no, you need to know that I have a son. If you're not okay with it, I respect it. It's not something that I'll take personally. Some people have their preferences. Some people don't want to date someone that has a kid, or some people don't want to date someone that, isn't American or isn't African or something like that. It's just a preference. I don't take it personally.
I like that. So how do you navigate that? Do you like bring girls home when your kid is not home? Have you introduced somebody? When do you introduce somebody like, this is daddy's girl, or has he seen anybody, or is it that she comes home when he's asleep? Because I'm trying to figure out how to move around with this too.
It depends. It depends like how I feel about the girl. If she's just a friend, then you're only coming over when he's asleep.
Okay.
But if I like you, or if I think that, it could extend into something else, then I want to get his point of view on you. I want to see how you relate with him. Because if he doesn't like you, that's a red flag. Because he likes everyone. He likes everyone. It's actually
Okay.
sickening.
Okay.
But if he ends up not liking you, I need to know ahead of time so we don't waste each other's time.
Oh, so
Yeah, I don't want one of those. There's a line of demarcation between who I'm dating and my son. It's all intertwined.
Interesting. So, have you introduced anyone to your son?
He's met too many girls, honestly. At this
Oh
point.
my
He's just
God,
scared back.
really? So
Yeah.
so now let's even talk about that. Do you feel like that's a
real.
good thing? Is that a healthy thing?
No, it's really not. My mom talks to me all the time about it. She's like, "Why are you bringing so many women?" I don't. It's just hard to date, honestly. Sometimes you think you find the one and you're like, "Nah, she's not really it." I'm trying to slow down on how many women he meets.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying he's met 100 women. He's probably met like 5, honestly. But I feel like 5 is too many.
I feel like that would probably give you the side because we just talk about Carisha and the
I,
things that she does.
I,
So like
yeah, he hasn't.
this is how it's trickling down to your
I don't
appearance.
think he's met that many women. I think like maybe like 5 or 6.
So do you say
you met a different woman, ain't you?
Low key?
So is it like this is daddy's girlfriend or daddy's friend?
No, let's just say this is so and so, and if he sees that he's meeting them, he knows I'm taking them seriously. He's pretty aware.
Do you guys hang out together? Do you guys like, oh, we go to the party or we go out to eat together?
Not necessarily. If I'm dating you seriously, then yes.
Okay.
I think he's only done that with maybe 1 or 2 girls.
Okay. Yeah. Is there like a certain time frame you have, or you feel like it just depends on emotion? So
I think it depends on how I'm feeling.
Okay.
I gauge based on how I'm feeling. I don't like to put a timeline on things. You can't put a timeline on anything. Some people fall in love faster than others. Some people have babies faster than others. Yeah. I won't put a timeline. I just go based off how I feel.
Because speaking of timelines, I don't know if you're familiar with like, Tia Mowry, like the sister, the twins, Tia and Tamara. So Tia Mowry and her husband Corey, they recently divorced. And one of the things that they put as rules as co-parenting, that you don't introduce anyone to the kids unless you've been dating for 6 months, right? And for me, I was in agreement with that, right? Because as you said, keyword, you definitely cannot put a timeline on things. Because sometimes you could find somebody and you're like, damn, shit, it's 2 months in, like, this is the person I love. But at the same time, even though that's the person you love, in that 2 months, some crazy shit could happen because you could be a crazy bitch.
That's
So I think that 6 months, of course, is different for everyone. But I feel like, for me, now that I'm trying to be out there in dates, I'm kind of nervous, like how my son is 2 as well. So with him being 2, I could easily be like, oh, he's 2, he won't remember. You know what I mean? He's a baby. Baby's like everyone. But I think also just to protect them and, the same way she was saying, like, oh, they're just young, he doesn't do anything. But we also know, like, little things, they're sponges, right?
Yeah.
They kind of,
Sure. They soak up.
And I think maybe because I'm a woman, maybe it's different too. With me being a woman, from you being a man.
It's definitely much harder as a woman.
Yeah.
I can empathize. I know that one thing I try to do is, if I know there's something big going on, I always try to make myself available so I can have my son. For example, Beyonce was going on.
Right.
It wasn't my weekend to have Tenny, and I gave my son's mom the option of dropping him off at my house. So she
that's
can go.
nice.
So sometimes it's that balance, because I understand it's much harder to date as a woman than it is as a guy, especially when you have a son or a kid, just in general. So I empathize.
It definitely is. I feel like the judgment is much harsher.
Yeah,
she got kids.
It's much harder. Men don't want to deal with women with baby mamas, but women would deal with a nigga with 10 baby mamas.
10 baby mamas.
Shout out to Future.
Future. So you said especially with a son. What exactly do you mean by that? With son? Because I don't know if that was in general.
No, I didn't mean to say especially with a son. Just especially with a kid. It's much harder to date as a woman.
So with you having a son, do you feel like you'd be a different parent or a different mindset if you had a daughter?
Everyone was hoping I had a daughter.
Really?
Everyone was hoping I had a daughter. Yeah, no, I think that it would have brought out like a gentler, softer side.
Okay.
But I'm a firm believer in God gives you what you're ready for. So I think he gave me a son because he just didn't know. He knew I couldn't handle a girl at the time.
Interesting.
Yeah, I think women or having a girl requires just a lot more attention, a lot more softness, a lot more kindness.
Yeah.
Boys, you can slam them on their neck and move on.
Right.
Make sure they're okay in a couple hours. I couldn't imagine rough playing with my daughter. And I think it would change your outlook on how you view women when you date. So I don't think, so let me repeat that. I do think that having a boy is completely different than having a girl.
I agree. But you know what? I think I wonder about that because a lot of times when I ask that question, people give the physical comparison of us in the sense that I could slam him down, but I can't slam my girl down. We get that, right? What about the emotional aspect too?
Right.
Do you feel like, okay, I could, for lack of better words, I could still slam him emotionally, not the same way I could slam my girl emotionally? Because that's, I feel like kids are kids regardless. You know what I'm saying? And their emotions are very fragile. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then also experience growing in this type of society, we want to raise, especially we need solid black men. You know what I'm saying? We don't need no more crazy black men. So it's like, do you feel like does it make you more emotional having a son?
It definitely brought out my gentler sides.
Okay.
I just think that having a daughter would have brought it out exponentially.
More. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think, I still feel gentle when he's with me. I still feel like I have to, rub him on his head, give him a hug when I see him, make sure I kiss his forehead. But I think having a girl would have brought out that side exponentially.
That makes sense. That absolutely makes sense. So now that you're a parent, what's something that you're intentionally doing different from your own parents? That you're like, I saw my mom and daddy do, I ain't gonna do this with mine, or I'm gonna do this with mine.
That's a plethora of things. I try not to yell as much.
Okay.
Nigerians, we just yell.
Yes.
Just yell for no reason.
It's so natural, it's innate.
It just comes. And then I don't really like spanking him.
Okay.
So I'm not bringing out belts. I'm not bringing out handguys.
I like that.
I'm not using a tree branch on him.
Damn, you went through all that?
Oh man, it was whipping my ass. But no, I wouldn't. That's one thing I tried to make sure, just because I don't think it psychologically, I don't think it's good for you. You don't need to beat someone like a dog for them to really understand what you're saying. Not saying I don't spank him. I will open up a can of whoop ass on him.
Oh, okay.
He knows, but at the same time, it's just not as abundant. Okay. It's not by every 2 seconds.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's not that serious. You don't need to whip him out every.
Yeah, because I feel like sometimes Africans, we kind of like borderline abuse a little bit.
Yeah, it's actually.
And we don't know that it is abuse. It becomes brutal, and it's like, okay, relax. You could talk to the child. Yeah. Is there anything else that you'd have done besides the beating part? Is there anything else that you feel like you do differently? That you attend to your child differently? That you communicate with your child differently?
Yeah, I definitely communicate with him differently. I just try to avoid everything that I found traumatic. It's just about self-reflection. At the end of the day, your parents they're still learning. Even now, they're still learning how to parent you. They're still learning how to grandparent now. So you have to understand that don't take anything personally, but also understand that there's some things that were done that shouldn't have been done. So you just try to avoid, I can't speak specifically, except maybe just my use of language. I'm not as harsh. I try not to compare him. One thing that Nigerian parents will do is, oh, your cousin is a doctor, and I try not to do things like that. Set expectations to him realistically, just based on him, and try not to put him in a pool with other kids. He is who he is. Fact. He should reach his potential in his own way.
What's something that you agree with your parents and stuff? That like, oh, I do this too because my parents did this. I kind of agree with how they parented me in this way. That you also do as well.
I think one thing shout out to my dad. One thing he really did a good job was really understanding why I did what I did before commencing to whoop me. He would give me a couple chances before he actually whooped me. So that's one thing that I would take up with my parents. Keeping us active. We were swimming. We had private swimming lessons in Nigeria.
Oh, you lived in Nigeria? Yeah. For how many years?
I was born in Nigeria.
What? Where? Yeah.
I don't remember. So long ago.
But how many years did you live in Nigeria for? Do you remember?
Till 9.
Okay, nice. You know what city you guys live in? Ogun State. Yeah. Wow, nice. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so just trying to pick out the good things just based on self-reflection. What are some things that my parents did that I truly appreciate, and how can I transfer that to my parenthood and avoiding what I thought shouldn't have been done.
Exactly.
And avoiding that with my son.
I totally agree. I like that because it sound like you got some good parents.
Shout out to my parents.
Good. All right, they raised a solid man. Because for me, I would say, with one thing with my mom, shout out to my mom. She believes in me. Like, cause like I went to college. I did public health. I worked in corporate America. I'm like, I'm gonna quit. initially I was going to be a pediatrician, but I was like, I'm not doing that anymore. Then I'm like, okay, I'm going to be a hairstylist. I'm like, and my mom's like, okay, do whatever you want to do. Mm-hmm. But that's not common with Nigerian parents. It's like, how dare you go to college and say you want to go and do hair? You know what I'm saying? Because with my dad, that's what he told me. Like, that's stupid as fuck. That's right. But my mom believed in me, so I think that's something I'm also implementing with my son. And something I know that with my parents, I'm not going to do. I definitely agree with the whole comparison thing. You know what I'm saying? Because whether they're comparing you to others or comparing others to you, it still holds some type of, it's still negative. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And it changes how you may view people, how people view you as well. Yeah. So that's something I'm like, okay, I'm not, as you said, the key word, he is his own person. You know what I'm saying? Let him be who he wants to be. Right. Do you have any tips to give me? Because you're raising a son and you've been raising a son for 6 years. I've just been raising a son for 2 years. What is something that you feel like I need to know about boys, especially you even being a man? You know what I mean? Like, as a woman, I would understand him as a mom to a certain extent. Yeah. But I'm sure there's certain things I know eventually, or maybe even now, that I just would not get.
I think, if you want him to play sports, start as early as you can.
Okay.
Yeah. Struggle to get him to want to play basketball. And he's so tall, it's blowing me.
Your son is tall?
Yeah, I'm 6'3" and his mom is 5'9".
Okay,
so
yeah.
Sure, he's supposed to be like 6'5" at the very minimum. So I should have started him much earlier off, but I didn't. So I would suggest starting off as early as possible.
Okay.
There's I curated a playlist of Beethoven and Mozart, and that was all he listened to for the first maybe 2 or 3 years of his life.
No way.
Try to keep him involved, at least with the culture, make him really truly understand what it's like to be a Nigerian. That it's a phenomenal thing. I love being Nigerian. Mm-hmm. Just getting him ingratiated with all the things that you value as early as possible.
Yes.
Because it's much harder as they get older, as they form their own personalities, to get them to come over and understand that.
I so agree.
Certain things.
I like that. One thing I'll say, my son, he likes it. So okra soup with inyo or amala, but like he will eat it anytime, any day. Over chicken, over pizza. Like I'm like, even if I've given him pizza already. The other day, I already gave him his dinner, and I think it was probably like pasta. And I was like, okay, let me make soup for me. Like, I was ready to go to sleep and just make me something. He came over to me. He was like, no, I want that. And I was like, okay, correct, Niger boy. You're just two. Yes. So I agree that culture is really important. Do you speak Yoruba? Do you understand?
I only know how to curse. Yeah, if I'm in traffic, you'll hear it.
Let me hear it. Give us some.
I won't lose you.
You said it well, dude. You said it well.
But no, I don't really know how to curse. The language is really lost.
Oh my goodness. I feel that.
I need a tutor.
They do have classes though.
Yeah,
they do have classes.
Yeah, I love tutor.
Absolutely. So in what ways do you integrate your culture, with your child? In what ways do you teach him that you are Nigerian? He has that Nigerian blood. What ways do you guys do that?
I really put most of the onus on my mom and Demi's mom. So both of his grandparents. I told him to stop speaking English to him when he's around.
Yes.
When we go to weddings, I take him to weddings with me. I try to make sure he's in this traditional wear. If I'm seeing something on Instagram of Nigerians, I'll show him.
Nice.
I make sure he's pronouncing his name properly. Things like that. There's only so much I can do in America. Shit. We've fallen off.
Yeah.
So I can't put pressure that's not even being applied here. For everybody wants to be American.
No, that's absolutely right. It definitely is harder because even me, I grew up in Nigeria. I speak the language, but it's not as fun as it is, because you're not around people. It's harder.
Yeah.
But for me, what I'll say is that I try to watch Nigerian movies with him, even if I don't like the Nigerian movies.
Yeah,
but like,
terrible. I can't even sit with them.
But like, I think
one day I'm watching a Nigerian movie and I swear the director was in the scene. They couldn't, like, half of his body. I was like, nah, bro, I can't watch this. You can see the camera dangling in the shot.
Was this on YouTube?
Was it on YouTube? No, I don't think it was on YouTube. You can see the mic. The mic was hanging.
Yeah.
I was like,
you see the sound boom. Yeah.
I was like, nah, this ain't for me, bro.
But you know what? On Netflix, there's actually some Yoruba movie on Netflix.
That's what I heard. I gotta check it out.
You gotta check it out. Even Prime, there's actually some good one on Prime too. Absolutely, definitely check it out. Where they have the subtitles or they speak both English and Yoruba. But I think also, as you said, you love Burna Boy now. That's a very great way too. Davido, he does unavailable. I think the music, as Africans, Nigerians, I feel like we're on top with the music now. We reigning with the Afrobeats.
Yeah.
Like, everybody knows Afrobeats because of us
everybody
Nigerians.
wants to be African.
Exactly. So I think this is definitely a good way, music wise, food as well, to incorporate your culture. I as well, like, it has to be a really intentional thing, and it's difficult, because if majority of your friends are Americans, you speaking English 24/7, you're doing regular American hood shit, whatever you're doing, it's kind of like, damn, how do I bring back the African?
Yeah, it's hard. It's very hard.
But it's definitely hard.
Yeah, it's definitely difficult.
But the last question I do want to ask is, what is the most rewarding thing about being a parent?
I think just watching him become himself, watching him, find out little things for the first time. I remember when he first started walking, he had the biggest smile on his face. Aww. And I could tell he was just so excited that no one had to pick him up to get him to point A to point B anymore. He could just get there by himself. So just watching him grow, watching him graduate kindergarten and become, this big boy doing his own thing. Differing opinions, he'll start laughing at a joke, and I'll say that's not funny, and his mom will say that's not funny, and he'll say, well, I found it funny.
Okay.
And I'll be like, damn right. So just watching all of those things, watching him become his own person, I enjoy it.
I like that. It is definitely beautiful to see, like, wow, this person came out of me. Yeah. Right. I mean, came out of you in a certain way too. Yeah. Like, this is my seed right here. Like, he came out of me, and this is what they're developing and manifesting into, which is great. Yeah. I do want to ask one more. Would you have done it differently?
No. I think that he came when he was supposed to come.
Amen to that.
I don't think I would change anything.
Amen to that.
He came when I don't know what I would be doing right now, but he came when he was supposed to come. He simmered my life down. Aww. I don't know what I was going to do.
Okay.
Turn up for real.
I like that.
I was about to go crazy.
Okay.
But he simmered me down for a long time.
This is your blessing.
I'm very grateful he came when he was supposed to come.
This is really mature because, we see a lot of young black men who became dads early or even like in their late 20s or even 30s that, as we know, it's hard to be a parent in general. Yeah, I feel like even if you're married and you feel like you're set and you plan this, it's still hard to become a parent. But especially when it happens when you're not married, it's like, whoa. And typically we mainly see the woman who's like, okay, I'm going to take on the load. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to do it because I'm the mom. I'm carrying the baby. This is my job to carry the baby, to be a mom immediately. But for men, you don't hear that or see that often that, oh my God, you know what? I'm a dad. This is what I got to do now. So I just want to credit you because this is amazing to hear, to see, because we definitely don't see often, like men are ready to take charge and have pride in it. I think what I can say is I hear the pride in you, the pride that you're a dad and you're happy to have this boy. What's his name?
Oluwateniola.
Oluwateniola.
Big fat.
What does it mean?
I honestly don't even know. Shout out to Yummy. Shout out to Yummy. I met her the year before I had him, and her niece was named Tenny, but I think it was Ayo Teniola. I don't think it was Oluwateniola.
I think Oluwateniola means God's person.
Yeah, like I wrote it down. He has like 10 names. I let my mom choose a name. I let my dad choose a name. He has like 10 names. So we wrote it down. We have the meetings. And I've been storing this chest for him. Okay. That has the scrubs that I was wearing when he was born, his umbilical cord, his birth certificate, and the list of names that he has with the meaning. So I don't know. My Yoruba is not strong enough for me to come up with the meaning right away. But if I look at that paper, I got y'all.
I feel like Teniola. Wait, Oluwateniola.
Oluwateniola.
So Olua is God.
Yeah.
Teniola. Ola means wealth. Yeah. Any means person. Yeah. So something like that. God's wealth person.
Something like that.
Something with wealth, power, and God.
It's written
I like
somewhere.
it. Okay. That's amazing. Look at her. She's trying to figure it out. Look at her doing the calculations. Like, Oluwateniola. But that's amazing. Thank you for definitely sharing your story with us. Any advice and tips that you want to give to the followers, the listeners out there about, especially single dads? I want us to focus on single dads right now that you want to give to single dads.
It gets easier. Fight through the storm. You're gonna hate yourself if you're in the same situation. If you let something that you're unprepared for beat you down, really fight through it. There's a message in everything. I'm a big believer in, if it doesn't kill you, it's actually supposed to make you stronger. You choose to make it weak make you weaker, but you should really take every situation and take for what it is, but try and find that light in the darkness and fight through it, because it does get easier, and you don't want to look back and be ashamed. Yeah, so just lock in.
Yes, I love that. Dami, did you have any comments you want to add to that?
Oluwateniola.
Big fat.
As I'm doing my calculations, Oluwateniola means the person destined for riches, the person destined for wealth, good things in life.
Okay, that makes sense.
That's what I'm coming up with.
That makes sense.
But I do want to say, although I'm not a parent, listening to you guys has been so enriching, so fulfilling, so like, oh my gosh, I can't wait. I can, but I can't at the same time. And I do also want to let you know on air, I thought of you for this specific episode because, when I see you, that is what I see as a present father. And I did know that like you were a single father, and I think that even made it more special. I'm a teacher. I see a lot of families, a lot of parents, and I see a lot of people who do it wrong. And I do want to commend you for doing it right, for doing your best and being there. And I see how much that you model for your son. And I think that like a lot of people underestimate how much just doing the best you can in your life impacts your child's life.
Yes.
So I do just want to say like thank you so much for coming. Thank you so much on behalf of a woman, on behalf of a teacher, people who are affected by your parenting. Thank you so much for being a good dad.
Thank you guys for having me.
It's not easy at all.
Yeah, it's not easy.
So
absolutely.
We do thank you for joining us.
Shout out to you. Yes.
Thank you guys for having me.
Yes. All right. So let's move on to our next segment.
Yes, sir. So, Wolf, you guys know how we like to do it on Cross Culture. Every week we gotta talk about somebody who did something real goofy. So this week's Olodo of the Week, we kind of already got into full detail about why this person is Olodo, but our Olodo of the Week is no other than Carlee Russell. I'm sorry, baby girl, but you disgraced the whole race.
Just dumb.
This was the definition of a disgrace to the race.
She Olodo for the year.
You're Olodo, at least for the rest of the month, baby.
Yes,
you got it. Nobody else has it. Like, ladies, stand up. That's it. I know all of this at the end of the day was for man's attention. I might have joked and kikied about what I do for man's attention, but you guys, at the end of the day, this was way too much. This has made you look stupid, your family look stupid, and it really made all black women who are missing look stupid. So amplify the girls who are really missing.
Absolutely.
And let's find these women. Shout out to Kiara, who went missing in 2012, a male lady, and we're still looking for her.
So let's move to our next segment, which is Care for the Culture. The Care for the Culture goes to no other than Jay-Z.